Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, hoping you guys are having yourselves a wonderful, wonderful weekend, whether you're playing Destiny or really whatever you've got going on. Me, personally, not a whole lot of Destiny going on with your boy Blacklink, because of a little thing called Pokemon Sun and Moon. Holy crap, that game has taken over my gaming life for the past few days. But I just had to come quickly and make kind of a discussion video about something that's going on within the Destiny community. Once again, something we're all very well acquainted with, but something that needs to be addressed once again in the community, and that is the topic of matchmaking. Oh boy, here we go. Get your salt mines ready, boys, because we're about to dive right into it. But before we do that, we're going to talk about some happier things to kind of ease into the subject. One, Pokemon Sun and Moon are out. They are amazing. They are fantastic. I have been playing them pretty much non-stop since 12 a.m. Friday morning, so midnight on Thursday, and it's been a really fun time. And if I've already gone through, I've beaten the story, I'm in the post game. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say it's a super fun game, having a lot of fun with it. But while I've been off in super fun Pokemon La La Land, some things have happened in the world of Destiny. Most notably, we got a This Week at Bungie as usual on Thursday, and it had some interesting tidbits to it. Now, first off, they did cover their ride-along live stream they had the other day, which was really fun. It's always great to see the developers going through the PvE content and explaining how they came to certain conclusions, how they designed certain things. I really enjoy those things, and it was a really fun stream. But after that section, we get into matchmaking, the meat of today's video, which has always been a point of contention in the world of Destiny, but has once again risen up to be the rallying cry of not only the Destiny the Game subreddit, but the Bungie forums, and really a lot of the community as a whole. If you guys have been on the Bungie forums, you've seen over the past few weeks, 99% of the threads there have been about skill-based matchmaking and how the community there wants it removed. And that's certainly a feeling, an opinion that's mirrored on the Destiny the Game subreddit, at least for the most part, and certainly via Destiny content creators. I can't really think of any content creators who sit back and say, no, we love the skill-based matchmaking, keep it going. It's working, we swear, it's working just fine, right? Well, anybody who spends any amount of time in the Crucible, and certainly has at least some skill to their name, knows that the matchmaking in Destiny is not great. It hasn't been. We've complained about it for a long time. Bungie says they've worked on it. They say there's nothing wrong, and that's certainly the heart of what comes in this weekly update. And when it comes to matchmaking, the update itself says this. When it comes to matchmaking, here are our design goals. Provide you with a clean connection to your fellow players, keep the time you spend in orbit between matches to a minimum, and set a match between you and a worthy opponent. In that order. Here's how we go about finding you a match. First, we identify a pool of available players with a good connection to you. Within that pool, we choose players closely matched to your personal skill rating. If we can't find players within that pool, we widen the variance in skill. If that doesn't work, we expand the search again with more variance in connection quality. Once enough players are selected, we break them out into equally skilled teams. Which sounds wonderful on the surface, right? I mean, they're saying that they pick from a pool of players who have a good connection to you before they implement skill into the matchmaking. And ultimately, they end things by saying that connection quality is always the highest priority factor in Destiny matchmaking. Now, personally, this isn't really surprising. After all, this is what they've been saying for quite some time about their matchmaking algorithm in the Crucible. And like I've said in videos before, I'll say it again, that doesn't quite always seem to be the case, at least in my personal experience. Matchmaking for me can oftentimes be abhorrent. I'm usually in orbit for several minutes before it even tries to link me into a match, and then you guys see what my PvP gameplay looks like. We don't need to rehash through that. I'm oftentimes up against red bar warriors who are way far away from where I live. And when it comes to matchmaking, we did have that big rant video a little while back. I'll leave a link to that, maybe an annotation to it in the video, so you guys can go watch that if you want my full opinions on matchmaking and the way Destiny's matchmaking tries to enforce a 50% win-loss ratio, which they also addressed in this weekly update, with a question saying, do you try to force players into a 50% win-loss ratio? Answer being, nope. As we've stated, your personal performance is a factor in the Guardians you end up confronting in battle. We do nothing to artificially influence win streaks or alter individual player statistics. Now, here's my big problem with this. It's kind of contradictory to some of the things they've said before. If you guys remember in that previous Edge magazine interview where several Bungie heads were there talking to the magazine, they were asked about matchmaking, and they specifically stated pretty much that the game tries to enforce a win-loss ratio of about 50% so that you're only winning about half of the games that you're playing. I believe the exact quote from the interview was, Cotton, as in Steve Cotton, admits that right now they haven't really made it enjoyable enough for players to have fun when they're only winning half of their games. I think this implies that for players who would normally win the majority of their games, Bungie hasn't done a good job of keeping Crucible fun when the game makes it so that you lose as much as you win. They think private matches will help with this, which is actually something mirrored in This Week at Bungie, where they state, why can't I just relax and enjoy some matches with my friends? Well, we introduced private matches to the Crucible with the launch of Destiny Rise of Iron so that you could do just that. Take matchmaking into your own hands and make the Crucible what you want it to be. Which, unfortunately, sounds incredibly dismissive of the community's problems with the current matchmaking system. Obviously, something's not working right. Something's not quite kosher when a large portion of your community is reporting a problem with matchmaking and have been essentially since the Taken King went live over a year ago. And your response is, well, everything's working as intended, it's all in your head. Probably not the best response from Bungie. And this has sparked a lot of outrage right now from people who think Bungie's being really dismissive towards their experiences in the Crucible, and I would have to agree with some of those complaints. My experience in the Crucible most of the time is not great. Matchmaking's not great, weapon balance is a little bit off, but that's a completely different subject that we'll make a different video for. And when I see that Bungie says, nope, connections are fine, skill-based matchmaking is working the way it was intended, with so much community evidence pointing to the opposite, it does not inspire confidence. Now, I'm not super outraged like everybody else because this is something we've been dealing with for over a year now. This is almost the norm in the world of Destiny, and I really wish that things were a little bit different. We've talked about this several times, but I would really love it if Bungie just went the Halo route and introduced a ranked playlist. You want to have a skill-based component to matchmaking, put it in its own playlist where people can go to test their skills. But for everything else, for a peer-to-peer based game like Destiny, you absolutely have to favor connection quality over anything else in the matchmaking. Skill should have almost no bearing on the matchmaking itself. And you know, I've watched a lot of other big Destiny content creators out about this same subject, and they seem to have the same idea. I was just watching My Name is Bife, his video on it, and he said the same thing. He would like to see, if they want to have skill-based matchmaking, they need to put it in its own playlist for players who do want to test their skill and engage in sweatier matches. But for pubs, connection quality has to be king. You shouldn't be putting up people in matches where they're playing against other players who are across the world, who they cannot have a solid, fast, clean connection with. And right now, unfortunately, in practice, that seems to be opposed to the way Bungie is handling things. Again, they say that they attempt to find a pool of available players who have a good connection to you, and then from that pool, they pick people who are close to your skill level. And personally, I think there's something going on there because in my experience, again, just my personal experience, this game is definitely not picking people who are within a good connection to me. And with tools like Destiny Tracker and routers that can show you all of your incoming, outcoming IP pings, you can see that a lot of these people are well out of the country that I live in. Many of them are across the globe. And about the only thing we have in common is a similar skill score. So it definitely feels like something in the matchmaking is being thrown for a loop, and I really think Bungie would do well to reevaluate the way they want to handle matchmaking in Destiny. Year 1 mostly didn't have skill-based matchmaking, and while connections weren't perfect in Year 1, it's important not to look at that through rose-colored glasses. It was certainly a better experience overall than what we've had in Year 2. And again, I really think Destiny could benefit from something like a ranked playlist. But that's just my opinion. What are yours? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. What do you Guardians think of the skill-based matchmaking debate? Are we all overreacting? Well, maybe, but then again, maybe not. But alright, it's going to be it for this one, Guardians. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.